walking through the door, even as we speak. So we're going to switch topics here, give them a chance to come in, sit down. You can take your coat off, relax, catch your breath, have a bottle of water. And we were just talking about China while we were waiting your arrival. So
China.
Yeah, China. Welcome, sir. Have a seat. Well, the guest running on IPT, Israeli People's Time, or shall we blame New York traffic?
No, actually, what was the address that we got? 20 Broadway. 20 Broadway. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake? The food's not so good there either, is it? It's a kosher restaurant, right? Is that a kosher restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, well, we don't want to blast any restaurants on here, but you would think New York, with all the Jews here, they could have a decent kosher restaurant. It's very, very difficult to find. Yoel Hasson is our guest. He's a member of the Israeli Knesset. That's the parliament there. You're 35 years old.
34.
34 years old. Wow, 34. And how long have you been in the Knesset?
2 years.
How does forgive me for saying this, but how does a 32-year-old kid, a young man, you're not a kid anymore, get elected to the Knesset?
You know, theoretically, I'm 20 years in politics because I started when I was 14.
Yes.
So I'm in politics a long time. I was in an important position, advisor to the Prime Minister Sharon, head of Beitar, head of Young Likud. I was involved a long time.
Yeah.
So
how'd you get started at 14 years of age? Is that common in Israel?
No, actually no. As you know, a lot of young people don't want to be part of politics, don't feel themselves involved in politics. But I decided to be. I was admired the Prime Minister of Israel, Yitzhak Shamir, if you remember the name.
Course, yes.
I was admiring when I was.
I'm a little older. I would remember the name. Yes,
I remember him too, of course. And I was admiring him, and because of him, I joined to Likud. I joined to Beitar, and I always felt that in politics you got so many opportunities to make change, to do things, and I always say to my friend that telling me come to business, be in business, you can make a lot of money and everything. I always tell them this thing: the influence that you have in politics, the fact that you can run things, making it happen, this is the real thing that you need to think about, not about money.
And now you're part of Kadima, the Prime Minister's party?
The ruling party, yes.
And that's considered a moderate party in Israel?
Yes, it's the center. We are in the center. Actually, whereas most of the Israeli people are, most of the Israeli people, they are not in the extreme left, not in the extreme right. They are in the center, and Kadima is in the center. And I think this is what's right for Israel.
Well, except when you're in the center, you get squeezed from both ends a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to talk about the most current story. You know, if you bring in an MK to or anybody who speaks about Israel to this show, there's going to be a breaking story always. And the breaking story today is the German Chancellor Angela Merkel strengthening ties with Israel. Look, Israel was founded because of the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a result of the Nazis. The Nazis were Germans. The Germans' seat of power was Berlin. The seat of power of the German government today is now Berlin, and she fashions herself as Israel's best friend in Europe. Although perhaps France might beg to differ. France is coming around and changing its view with regard to Israel right now as well. Who would have thought that this day would come? There was a little bit of a controversy about it, and you were in the forefront of saying she should be welcomed with open arms.
Yes, and I think this is what's right. We never can forget what Germany did to us, what the Nazis did to the Jewish people. And I don't so agree that because of the Holocaust, the Jewish got a states, independent states. Maybe yes, maybe not. But of course, the Holocaust for us was something critical for the Jewish people. I don't imagine how much I cannot imagine how much everything can be different without the Holocaust for the Jewish people. But we can never forgive and forgive to the German people, to the leaders of Germany then. But I think now Germany doing whatever she can to be a good friend for Israel. As you know, for a long time, Germany helped Israel in a lot of issues in the army, military issues, all these issues. So I think it's a right, and Angela Merkel himself, she's very eager to make the contact between Germany and Israel stronger and stronger. And she always a lot of initiatives to help Israel and to vote for Israel in the UN, and she always really support Israel. So that's why I think that she can make a speech in the Knesset, even in the German language. It's not easy for us, but she can do it.
Listen, more than a few Jews could speak German.
Yes, I know
Israelis.
I know that a lot of them, especially families that's Holocaust survivor,
Right.
prefer not to speak Germany.
Right.
But I think this is, I said in the media in Israel that I feel that to see Angela Merkel speaking in the Israeli Knesset, it's a victory to the Jewish people.
Yeah, I saw that quote of yours, which was all over the place. So one little quote heard around the world. Your party, the Kadima Party, your prime minister, who heads your party and your government, is under a lot of political fire. If he sits back and tries to negotiate with your enemies, there are those who say, "My God, you're sitting there, you're not doing anything. The rockets are falling. Our homes are getting hit. People are getting injured. Sadly, occasionally people are dying." And then when he responds, whether it's against Hezbollah in Lebanon or whether it's against this onslaught from the Gaza, the world attacks, since thankfully not physically attacks, but attacks Israel for its overreach. And it seems to me to be a fairly untenable situation. Either you sit there to try to win the propaganda war, and my contention is there's a propaganda war that's almost as detrimental to Israel as the war of bombs. I'm not there. I'm not worried. I'm not getting suicide bombers coming after me,
Yes.
although we're right by ground zero. So there's a little bit of affinity in that regard. But it's almost as bad, the propaganda war. Anti-Semitism worldwide is at unbelievable proportions right now. It's not just Israel, it's anti-Semitism in general. How do you balance this out? How do you decide what's the right thing to do? And how do you negotiate with somebody who really doesn't want a two-state solution? Okay, I'll shut up now. I'll give you a chance to answer.
Listen, it's very complicated to be a leader in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And the situation is very complicated. And, I worked with Ariel Sharon. I was his advisor. And 5 years I was in the Prime Minister office. And to see how much it's really a tough decision. You must taking a tough decision when you are Prime Minister. You must consider so many options and so many realities and try to find a solution. The bottom line is that we must do whatever we can to make sure that the Jewish state, the Israel can continue and